whole-of-nation approach, making communist insurgency irrelevant in Western Visayas. State of insurgency in Western Visayas. For almost 5 decades, Western Visayas has been experiencing internal socio-political instability brought about by the armed movement waged by the Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, or CPP-NPA. The rapid rural appraisal conducted in 2016 by the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Bayanihan teams in close coordination with the local government units showed that the provinces of Aklan and Guimaras in Western Visayas are now categorized as normalized insurgency-free provinces. These provinces experienced peace and stability for more than 5 years, with insignificant or non-existent armed elements perpetrated by the CPP-NPA. The provinces of Capiz, Iloilo, and Negros Occidental in Western Visayas continue to be considered as armed conflict affected by the armed movement of the CPP-NPA. In Western Visayas, 97 barangays are identified by the AFP and the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process to be affected and threatened. These 97 barangays were identified to be the areas of focus of the Regional Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict in Region 6. Priority Programs and Strategies. Good governance. The governors of the provinces will be the primary weapons of the government and principal movers to address poverty and improve governance in delivering progress in the region. Accelerated land distribution. President Rodrigo Duterte gave land titles with a total area of 2,694 hectares to 2,314 agrarian reform beneficiaries in Western Visayas. They also received 163 million pesos worth of farm machineries and various assistance from the Department of Agriculture and other government agencies. Interphasing of RTF elcac 6 with the courts. Environment Secretary Roy A. Simato discussed with Bacolod Governor Eugenio Lacson and the mayors of Negros Occidental the fight against insurgency through End Local Communist Armed Conflict or elcac program. Mayor Lawrence Marxlen de la Cruz of Don Salvador Benedicto Negros Occidental requested Secretary Simato to provide more access roads to the hinterland so that those residing in the mountain can also avail of government services. The National Convergence Initiative for Sustainable Rural Development, or NCI-SRD Summit 2019. The NCI-SRD is organized and operated by the 4 rural development agencies: Department of Agriculture, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Department of Agrarian Reform, and Department of Interior and Local Government. The Region 6 Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict was formally organized on June 20, 2019 at Casa Real Provincial Capital Building, Iloilo City. In his message, DNR Secretary Simato briefly traced the history of insurgency, particularly in Western Visayas from the 1970s up to the present. 4th Quarter Regional Peace and Order Council meeting presided by Governor Arthur Defensor Jr. and DNR Secretary Roy Simato as keynote speaker, held at Casa Real Provincial Capital Building on December 12, 2019. Major accomplishments of elcac LOE's Region 6. Local Government Empowerment. The punong barangays and barangay officials of 16 target barangays in Tubungan, assisted with RCSP Secretariat, determined the proposed projects, programs and activities, and formulated their barangay development plan. Tubungan Project Tampad. Conduct of post-assessment compliance and feedbacking for the submission of the SUC-assisted Comprehensive Development Plan from July 21-24, 2020 at Courtyard by Marriott, Iloilo City. Participated by the City and Municipal Planning and Development Coordinators and DILG CDP Provincial Focal and Field Officers. Philippine National Police. Conducted police assistance or visibility, during the Social Amelioration Program distribution in different barangays in Bacolod City. JPSCC meeting at Naval Station Alfonso Palencia, Barangay Sawang, Buena Vista, Guimaras on May 15, 2020. Joint JPSCC, PLED, and PJTG CV Shield meeting was held at GPPO Multipurpose Hall on September 22 and 25, 2020 respectively. Legal cooperation. Conducted case conferences at PRO 6. Teleconference with DILG 6 for the Joint Focused Legal Action Team project. Finalized LCC 6 implant. Provided lecture about relevant laws applicable to security operations. Strategic communication. Aired 4 radio programs of Bayanihan sa Kauswagan every Saturday, with 1 episode on PTF elcac LEC Convergence Program and 5 episodes of Bayanihan sa Kauswagan. Basic services. Upgrading of 500 meters barangay road with improvement of drainage system along the road section of Barangay Bato Victoria to Bungan, Iloilo. Construction of 500 meters core local access road at Hining Caballo Road, Barangay San Pablo, Manapla, Negros Occidental. Construction of 5 kilometers core local access road, Tumbok, Pawoy, Awis Road, Takuyong Norte, Manampunay Road, Ligtos, Hines, Tunguan, Banagan Road. BUB water provision of potable water system in the following barangays of Leon, Iloilo: Barangay Hines, Barangay Manampunay, and Barangay Takuyong Norte. Finalization of Barangay Development Plan and RCSP output validation in Tubuan, Iloilo last February 21, 2020. Poverty reduction, livelihood, and employment cluster. Launching of Project Tampad. Tampad nga serbisyo alay sa masa paadto sa asenso kag tunang pag-ugwad. Various skills training program for livelihood development under EO70 for farmers, IPs, and former rebels of Barangay Bulok last August 11, 2020 at Municipal Multipurpose Gym Tubungan, Iloilo. Last August 28, 2020, the Kapatiran members of Ibahay chapter in Ibahay, Aklan received 1,800 heads of native chicken and 100 forage plantlets as livelihood and agri-assistance from the Department of Agriculture Regional Field Office 6. On September 28, 2020, the DARFO 6 delivered and distributed 1-unit pump and engine set in Barangay Caraudan, Haniway, Iloilo, intended for the Kapatiran members of Haniway chapter. Dole Capiz Field Office released 3.8 million worth of delete to the 4 barangays of Cortero, Capiz. In support to President Rodrigo Duterte's effort to end local communist armed conflict, the Department of Labor and Employment Regional Office 6 intensifies its collaboration with the Philippine Army of Capiz Province to provide the necessary intervention to former rebels to help facilitate their integration in the community, especially in those cleared areas in that province. On September 25, 2020, the Dole 6, through its Capiz Field Office, released the checks amounting to 3.8 million for the various projects of the 4 barangays of Cortero, Capiz, namely Barangay Putian, Barangay Mahunod-Hunod, Barangay Karataya, and Barangay San Antonio. The funded projects of the following LGU barangays are as follows. The beneficiaries, numbering 214, are mostly former members of the New People's Army and Militia ng Bayan. Peace, Law Enforcement, and Development Support. 15 IB was initiated to conduct Peace, Law Enforcement, and Development Support cluster meeting at City Hall of Sipalay, Barangay Hill Montilla, Sipalay City, in collaboration with the LGU and DILG. Situational Awareness and Knowledge Management. Call for support to the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. Disruption of CTG agitate, organize, mobilize activities. Intelligence reports were shared among concerned agencies or units through official communication channels. Localized peace engagement. On March 2, 2020, Bacolod City Police Office, interviewed by GMA7 TV network and aired by Bombo Radio Bacolod radio station, reported the peace and order situation of the city of Bacolod, as well as the plans and programs of BCPO on the fight against criminality, terrorism, and other illegal activities. On February 20, 2020, BCPO conducted school visitation and lecture regarding the anti-rape law and Kabataan kontra Droga at Terorismo. They also discussed the awareness of CPP-NPA atrocities and violence to the community and the exposure about the deception and recruitment of the CPP-NPA to schools and universities. ECLIP and Amnesty Program. On August 1, 2020, in Sitio Matlag, Barangay 4, Sipalay City, suspected member of CPP-NPA voluntarily surrendered to the joint personnel of Sipalay CPS, Provincial Intelligence Unit, Regional Intelligence Unit 6, PNP Intelligence Group, and 15th Infantry Battalion, Philippine Army. On October 12, 2020, 7 CTGs received 589,000 pesos as remuneration on the firearms they surrendered to the Governor Arthur Defensor Jr. The amount served as their capital on their livelihood through ECLIP program held in Iloilo Provincial Capital. 2 former rebels voluntarily surrendered to the government and turned over 3 FAs, including M16 rifle at LGU Iloilo City. On June 19, 2020, they received 65,000 pesos as the capital for their livelihood through ECLIP program. Antique Provincial Task Force elcac yields 11 rebels. Joint concerted efforts on intelligence gathering and coordination through PTF elcac Antique and other concerned members were made days prior to the attainment of the success and facilitation of 11 NPA members to surrender in the hands of the government, and now under the custody of PIT Antique and RIU 6 for proper disposition. The surrender of the rebel members was done through successive programs of the government, through Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program and National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. National Commission on Indigenous Peoples. Series of IEC for the National and Local Guidelines on IPMR conducted by NCIP Capiz and Attorney Hermigion Toledo in Haina Norte Indigenous Cultural Communities of the Municipality of Hamindan, Capiz. The endeavor is highly supported by the LG of Hamindan and the elders of Panay Bukidnon, IPs from September 28 to October 9, 2020. Distribution of hygiene kits and food packs in partnership with TSWD Region 6 to 73 ATI ICCs of Sitio Henes, Barangay Balagon, and Barangay Mostro, all of Anilao, Iloilo. IEC activity in Barangay Agloloway, Hamindan, Capiz. On October 7, 2020, Iloilo Guimaras CSC staff facilitated the following activities: MOA signing between IP communities, DENR, and People's Organization in connection with Community-Based Forest Management Agreement in Kipot and Atimonan, Haniway, Iloilo. Coordination meeting with LGU, IP leaders, PSA enumerators, regarding issues and concern on IP census, sectoral unification, and capacity building. Organized and maintained 463 sectoral groups. Conducted trainings for ARB members on farm planning and budgeting, recording and formulation of policy systems and procedures, infrastructure and resource management, National Greening Program. A total of 11,089 bamboo planting stocks were produced for the month of August 2020. To date, a total of 2,791,273 bamboo planting stocks have been produced, or 107% of the total requirements of 2,620,788 stocks. For August 2020, area platted was 4,307.64 hectares, totaling to 6,406.24 hectares, or 49.80% of the total requirement of 12,847 hectares. This benefited 4,527 upland poor household members of the region. DPWH Construction of Pandan-Ibahay Road in Pandan, Antique. San Remigio Bugod General Fulon Valderrama Road, Panay is West Road, Valderrama, Antique. Maliao Hilwan Road, Tapaz, Capiz. Malagyan Tigmalapad Road, Yagao, Iloilo, leading to the 204 hectares forest land requested by the AFP for the issuance of presidential proclamation as military camp. Access road leading to 7 cities of Alimudian, Iloilo. Tubungan Igtuble Road, Tubungan, Iloilo. Silay Patag Cadiz Calatrava Road, Calatrava, Negros Occidental. Himamaylan City, Negros Oriental Boundary, Tayasan Road, Himamaylan City, Negros Occidental. Kanduni Gatuslaw Road, Kanduni, Negros Occidental to Pasay, Negros Oriental Interprovincial Road. The challenges. CTG's propagandas and operations and other cluster activities were postponed, disrupted, delayed, or cancelled due to restrictions brought about by COVID-19 or prioritization of funds for COVID-19 measures or activities. Ways forward. DBM implementing agencies to ensure allocation of funds for the cleared, affected, and threatened barangays and to fast-track its implementation. Conduct of regular meetings of all clusters, LOEs to review their plans, ensuring that all objectives and targets are achieved, taking into consideration the COVID-19 pandemic. Full operationalization of RTF elcac 6 Operations Center. Under the guidance of President Duterte and with the full support of Filipino people, our march for just and lasting peace is finally coming into fruition.